Right, so for our next intermediate level type trick, we're going to be looking at two different kinds of paw targets, and that is ringing a bell and turning on and turning off a touch lamp, like this one. Okay, so this is one where you push. So between Merlin and Taylor, and with the help from Cassie as well, as you can see, we're going to show you what to do with this one. The first skill that your dog needs to have for this is being able to give paw like that comfortably, and not needing lots of help, not needing you to pick the paw up, not needing you to ask several times, but actually if you ask for paw, you get a paw. Okay, when you can get that, then you can move on to this stage, because then you know that your dogs are understanding what you want with the paw. So the first thing you want to do is start asking your dogs to give paw to something that's actually quite easy for them to get hold of. So it could be something like a frisbee. I've got the bottom of a saucer for a flower pot here. It's just got to be something that's a nice size for them to be able to target with their paws. If it's too small, it's going to take them a lot longer to work out what you want them to do. All right. So the first thing you want to do is, after they've done a couple of give paws, is actually add the item you're going to be using to your hand, so it becomes an extension of your arm. And again, just put it nice and low and asking your dogs to give paw. So paw, Merlin. Good boy. As soon as you get that paw, you can give them a treat and praise. Merlin, paw. Yes, good boy. And then once they're getting the hang of that in the air, you can gradually bring it lower and lower and lower until finally paw it. Yes. And you can actually get them to paw it while it's on the floor. Okay, so you're now getting, we're getting everything here. So you're now getting your dogs to actually target that particular item on the floor without you having to help them, point at it or anything else. They just understand what you want them to do. Once they can do that, you can move on to the individual items here. So Taylor is going to show you the next one. Get rid of Cassie for a second. So for Taylor, he's got the bell. And for the bell, there's a really small part at the front here that I want him to actually press. But when he starts off, I'm going to be happy for him to be actually pawing any part of that bell at all. Cassie, come. Come on, come. Go there, stay. Don't mind Cassie, she can't hear me, so I can't move her very easily when she's intent on helping. Right, so here's the bell. Taylor, paw. Good boy. So for that one, he just pawed the side and didn't ring it. I'm happy with that because obviously early stages of training. Taylor, paw. Good boy. Once they can do this comfortably and you're not having to point to it or help them out, then we ask a little bit more from them. So we actually want that part to be touched. Good boy. So if he doesn't touch that part, he doesn't get the treat for it. Okay, Taylor, paw it. Or if he noses it, paw. Taylor. Good. So that time we've got a bell. Taylor, paw. Paw. Calm down. Paw. Good boy. Again, we've got the bell, so that time we can say that he's done it properly. All right. So you then got with holding it unless you actually get what you're after. Taylor, paw. No. Taylor, paw. That's your nose. Paw it. Good. There's a good boy. And that will help them to distinguish what you want them to do. Taylor does a lot of nose targeting because he does tribal work. So he's actually trying to use his nose at the same time. I don't want him to do that. So until he uses his paw in the right place, I don't actually praise him for doing it. And that will help him to learn what it is I want with this particular item. Now, if you haven't got a bell, or if you prefer to use something that isn't with noise, so for Cassie being deaf, she obviously can't hear the ring. So she would use something like this because she can see it going on and off. Merlin's going to show you this one. With the touch lamp, Merlin, come here. Good boy. With the touch lamp, it's slightly easier for your dogs in some cases because it's a bigger item for them to put their paw on. But in other respects, it can be harder because whereas with Taylor's bell, he just had to tap it with his foot to make the noise and do it. With the touch lamp, they can't just do this. They have to actually make contact and put their foot on it. So Merlin, paw. Good. And you might have to lure them or help your dogs, paw. So they actually put their foot on and stay in that place. So they might need to just have a little bit of help. So they put pressure on it. If they won't actually put weight on one paw, so one paw's on but they're not putting the weight on it like Merlin's doing, what you can do is when they've got one foot on, is lift the other paw and that will help them to put the weight on it. Okay, this one you can see very clearly when the dog's done it or not. So Merlin, paw. Good boy. And Merlin, paw it. Paw. Yes, good boy. So you can see the light going on and off as Merlin's clicking it on and off. Okay, so Cassie's missing out and she's not happy about that. Paw that, Cassie. Paw it. Oh no, it's under Taylor. There. That one. Cassie, paw. Good girl. There you go. Have to help Cassie a little bit. So, for ring the bell, or touching a touch light. Thank you, Merlin. You're in the way, darling. And Merlin's bottom, as you can now see. Mind out, darling. For the bell and the touchlight ones, like I say, start with something bigger. If your dog doesn't understand how to give paw properly, and you have to say it 10 times, point, 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 lift the paw up, and then eventually they get the idea. Work on the give paw first, then move on to an item that's nice and big for them to start targeting, and gradually have that lower and lower to the ground. And we have disco effects for you now as well. Once they can do that, you can move on to whichever item you want. If it's the touchlight where they have to press it, you need to work on them actually putting the weight on for a second before they release it, rather than just a glancing touch. And for the ringing the bell, if it's a small bell like this, then you need to work initially on your dogs just targeting anywhere, and then gradually you want them to work on actually ringing the bell and making that noise. So the final trick for your dog should be Taylor, tut, good boy, paw it. Good boy, there's a good boy. And Merlin, paw, paw. Oh no, Taylor's gone mad. Merlin, paw. Yes. And actually they can do it without you needing to give them lots of help, not having to pick it up, not having to show them and tapping it and pointing at it. But actually when you ask them to do it, they go ahead and do it. Okay, so I'm looking forward to seeing whether you choose to do a bell or a light with your dogs, and get your videos in when you get a chance to do them.